Hi everyone, I am Heather, and I want to welcome you to Magnificent Authors Podcast, brought to you by Magnificent Mamas. This is the show where we'll celebrate the magic of storytelling and the power of words. I'm your host, Heather, and each week I'll be sitting down with incredible authors from all walks of life to explore their creative journeys, uncover their writing secrets, and delve into worlds they create. Whether you are an aspiring writer, a passionate reader, or simply curious about the minds behind your favorite books, this is the podcast for you. So grab a cozy blanket, pour yourself a cup of tea, and get ready to be inspired by the magnificent authors who join us. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. I am Heather with Magnificent Mamas and Magnificent Authors Podcast. We're joined here today with author Doug Lawrence. Doug, would you like to introduce yourself?
I certainly can. I'm Doug Lawrence. I'm a retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer, having served for about 25 years. As a result of my service, I ended up with post-traumatic stress. And then to add to that, in 2021, actually February of 2021, I lost my wife to cancer. So I've been dealing with grief on top of that. And as a result of that, I have written a book entitled You Are Not Alone, which speaks to the aspect of grief, mental health, and as well as mentoring and how mentoring can be part of the support structure.
Nice. That sounds interesting for sure. And I'm sorry to hear about the loss of your wife and whatnot. I know it's still hard and it doesn't make a difference when somebody says it that doesn't know them, but losing a loved one is always hard.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I guess I would be fooling myself if I were to say, that there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not thinking about her, or I'm thinking she would be my biggest cheerleader, probably sitting in a chair not too far from where I am right now, cheering me on, so to speak. And that's physically, that's not there.
Yeah, it's got to be hard. So is this your first book then?
Number two.
Okay. What's your first book about?
The first one is entitled The Gift of Mentoring, and it was basically mentoring 101. It was to give people some, how mentoring could be of value, how it could help you grow personally and professionally. I had a number of case studies in there that gave people the chance they could go through and read the case studies, and it would give them some insight in how you could take the knowledge and skills of mentoring and how you could actually apply that in a practical sense.
Nice. It definitely sounds like your goal is to reach people and to help people through maybe not necessarily difficult situations, but just help people in general, I feel like.
Yeah, that would be a fair assessment. I think The Gift of Mentoring, which was book number one, had a major focus on mentoring as a way to help people grow on a personal and professional basis. And what I found certainly with some of the research that I'd done is that, we're very good at taking, say, mentoring and using it in a work perspective. So career development, but we lose sight or lose track of the personal side. So the self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, self-doubt, all the selves, as I call them, they kind of get put off by the side, and we don't focus on those. And I have, a number of different situations, stories that I sometimes share that speak to how important it is to be able to help people grow on a personal basis.
Would you like to share one of those with us?
I can certainly do that. The one that seems to stand out the most for me is it was a referral basically by another mentor that I knew who said, I'm trying to work with this individual and I don't seem to be getting anywhere. We're not getting any traction, any success on that. Would you mind meeting with her? And so I had agreed to meet, and we picked a coffee shop that we were going to meet in. And as this individual, as she walked through the door, I could tell she wouldn't make eye contact. Her head was dropped. So the body language told me that there was some issues there. And I actually asked the question, I'm getting a sense that you don't believe in yourself as much as I believe in you. And the person said, I don't know what to do because I've sent out all these resumes and I don't get any responses back. And, I'm having a very difficult time making ends meet because of that. And so we went through a makeover, as I called it, a makeover process where I got her we had a conversation and I helped her get a better understanding of who she was as a person. But more importantly, it was us being able to figure out what were we going to do next. And one of the techniques I like to use is yellow Post-it notes, positive affirmations written on those Post-it notes, and we stick them to the mirror in the bathroom. So that when I get up in the morning and I'm starting to get ready, the first thing I see are these positive affirmations. And when she did that, it was just like, wow, what a change. She ended up, as a result of that, and we had to kind of rewrite the resume a little bit because it had quite a bit of negativity in it, but we did that. And as a result of that, within the first week to 2 weeks, she ended up getting 3 interviews.
Nice.
And she was successful in securing a job. And eventually, as time went on, she got promoted and ended up being transferred to their head office in Ontario.
That is awesome. That is a great accomplishment.
And
improvement.
Yeah, it was a major, improvement. And I stay in touch with her as I do with a lot of people that I mentor. I stay in touch with her almost on a daily basis just to make sure that she's still believing in herself and that, she's still doing the positive affirmations because, we need to keep the momentum that we've got. So, yeah, it was one of those feel-good stories, if nothing else.
Definitely. I love how you are helping mentor people as well as helping people to, overcome their, I don't want to say negativities, but things that are pulling them down and helping them to become a better version of themselves. I think that's awesome.
And thank you. And what we've now added to that equation or to that mix is the aspect of mental health and all of those elements. And what I do what I call kind of a scan, for lack of a better choice of words. But when I meet with somebody for the first time, I'm kind of getting a sense from their energy and some of the things, the conversations and that we have. I'm getting a sense of whether they are in a good place mental health wise or whether, they're struggling. And if they're struggling, we need to figure out, is it me they need to talk to, or is it a professional like a psychologist, psychiatrist, social worker, counselor, all of those. So we need to figure out if that's something that we do. What I found that's been quite interesting and that I have to stay very vigilant with is entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs are dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety, and sometimes leading to depression and all of those things. And so what I've been able to do is I share some of my own stories in order to help build trust in the relationship. And as a result of doing so, they voluntarily will share what's going on in their life, including their mental health status. And then from there, I can customize a mentoring solution for them so that we can, continue to move forward with their healing journey.
That's so important because mental health, I feel like, is something that you're not really supposed to talk about. And I know as a society as a whole, we're trying to overcome that and make it, better to talk about it. That way people in need of help can get the help that they need. I know myself, I've got depression, anxiety, PTSD, all that fun stuff. So when I talked to my doctor, and my husband and my daughter were there about my depression, it was like a normal doctor visit. And then I was like, okay, so there's something else I need to talk about. And it was about me having severe depression, and, got started on meds. But just saying that was so hard.
Yeah.
And, there's so many people out there struggling right now, whether it's with mental health or anything, and being able to say something or get the help, it's a challenge. It really is.
Yeah, and I think, a large part of that is the whole stigmatism thing of that if you, as I call it, if I step out of the closet and say, I need help, right away, people are going to say, oh, this person's, kind of loony or whacked, and I don't want any part or don't want to do anything with them. And it's a challenge for people that, that are trying to make a difference, trying to help people deal with, their healing journey, to help them be able to move it along. And having individuals who are still hung up with that whole stigmatism thing aren't doing us any favors.
No, I agree completely. I agree 100%. I think we need to overcome that as a society as a whole, on every country, not just the US or just Canada. I think everywhere needs to work on that.
I did a presentation, I can't remember now if that was earlier this week or the week before, but it was primarily targeting entrepreneurs. And we talked about personal growth, we talked about mentoring, but more importantly, we talked about mental health and the aspect of how grief fit into some of that. But it was quite interesting that it has become one of the top webinars, presentations that this organization has, and so I'm quite pleased about that, because I see that as one or two steps closer to getting or addressing that stigmatism, and having people understand that there are steps that you can take that's going to help you deal with some of those issues, and especially when it's, when we're talking about mental health and mental well-being. And I always put grief into the sort of the mixing bowl, because I personally know that having to deal with grief has also magnified my mental health challenges, and I need to be able to address all of those things, no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. I agree completely. And I think being able to handle that emotion correctly and getting help for grief, it will fall under mental health category, and it will, nobody can say that they've never lost anyone, because you've lost someone in some shape or form, whether it's death, illness, friendship, we've all lost people. And I think it's something that people can definitely relate to as well. And I would definitely say it goes under the mental health category, because it affects you, your mind, your heart. I mean, that kind of goes together in a way. So.
Yeah, it does. And, that's why the second book that I wrote and published, You Are Not Alone. And that's why the title itself sort of speaks to the contents of the book for the most part is that, there's all this stuff going on, mental health and mental well-being and depression and all of that. And the main message that I want to get out to people is that you're not alone. You don't have to go on this healing journey on your own. And, I share in the book, I share a number of my own experiences. I share, how I came to have to deal with post-traumatic stress, and, how, like a lot of people who deal with mental health issues, I ended up turning to alcohol as sort of the crutch that I was going to lean on to be able to get through the next day.
I understand completely. Unfortunately, with my medicine, I can't do alcohol, but I've got other health issues as well. But I understand why people turn to the vices that they turn to.
Yeah, it was, a bottle of scotch. I would go out on a call and have to deal with something very traumatic. And I'd come home and I'd go to the cabinet in my place that I was living in, to the one cabinet that was basically my liquor cabinet. And I'd go, open the door and take out a bottle of Scotch whiskey, take the cap off, throw it in the garbage, and I would drink the bottle until it was gone, thinking how foolish, my thoughts were, but thinking that was going to make the world a better place. And
it won't.
No.
And we both know that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and so kept my reliance on that, not able to find a support structure anywhere else that was going to help me, to be able to deal with all of those things, those challenges. It became a situation where I know that I at times had thoughts of suicide, because I felt like, there's got to be a better life out there, that's not controlled or managed by alcohol. And, there should also be the support mechanism or structure needs to be in place in order for me to be able to have some place to go to get that help. And it doesn't have to be the liquor store.
Yeah. And there really should be. And I mean, we're, as a society, we're getting better help than there was, 20, 30 years ago, but there's still so much room for improvement.
There is, and I know that I'm pleased and delighted, to sort of see different groups of people are coming together to say there are things that we could do better. And so let's work together to do that. I know there's an organization in Calgary, or actually in Airdrie, Alberta, Thumbs Up Foundation, that is doing some very, very exciting things when it comes to, helping people who are dealing with addictions and stuff like that, they're making a difference. And we need to have more people or more organizations that sort of take that model and put it into practice elsewhere as well, because it does help making a difference.
Definitely. I agree completely. I think you're 100% right on that.
Yeah, so we've got that. Plus we, I think the aspect of, I've got a third book that the manuscript is in the editing process, and it speaks to, cancer is one of the main themes for it, and it speaks to, again, the aspect of how mentoring can be part of that support structure, and for people to be able to continue on their healing journey. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to fruition so that we can get that book out with the messages that are contained within it.
When does that book come out?
The $64,000 question, but I'm hoping, I'm targeting the fall, sometime in the fall.
So soon.
Yeah, I know the way the calendar seems to be slipping by. It's some
It
days
goes by so fast.
I just I'm doing some review of the manuscript, and then I'm going to shoot it off to a partner or a colleague of mine who's doing the professional editing on it, and hopefully this version will be what he's looking for from an editing perspective, and how the story all ties together and all of that. So yeah.
That's awesome. How did you, I know you're going from experience, the experiences you had in life to writing. Did you have any other writing experiences beforehand?
No, I didn't.
You just wanted to share and help?
Well, the how I started was I had a chap that I went through RCMP training with. So we were troop mates going through the RCMP training, and he ended up I think he was in the police force for about 5 years, and then he left the force to go and pursue other opportunities. But what he used to do was he used to write inspirational messages for his children, and he would send it to them on a daily basis. And I think the title that he gave to this collage of inspirational messages was Notes from Papa. And what ended up happening was some people said to him, you need to take all these inspirational messages and turn it into a book. And so consequently, what he did was he and I were chatting, and he said, I've been on your blog site, and you've got all this content. You need to take it and turn it into a book. And so I worked with a ghostwriter, and we pulled it all together and got it published and got it put out there. People think that you write a book to make money. I wrote the book to get the message out, and
that's the right reason to write a book.
It's the only reason I would have to say, is what sort of difference am I going to make by putting this book out there? So we did that. And then the second one, which was it has become my flagship, so to speak, is You Are Not Alone. And same sort of thing was people came to me and said, we need you to write a book about, mental health and dealing with grief and all those sorts of things. And so I did, and I was actually surprised in that You Are Not Alone ended up becoming an Amazon #1 bestseller.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It was certainly not in the planning part of writing the book. And it also was awarded the bronze medal in the Global Book Awards. So I ended up with, a couple of recognitions of what we'd done. That sort of, when somebody said, are you thinking of writing a third one? My first reaction was, I think I'm done. And then I realized that, no, you're not, because the story isn't completely told yet, and there's still more to tell. So I'm working away on this #3.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Do you have any plans after #3?
Well, at one time point, I, in a moment of weakness, had committed to my publisher and his business partner that I would do a book a year.
Okay.
However, I think I may take a bit of a hiatus there at some stage, because it's more work than I thought.
Oh, definitely. I know there was an author I talked to a while back, and he wrote a book. He didn't know, he self-published, got it on Amazon, didn't know he had to promote it or market it. He's like, nobody's seeing my book. He just thought, he'd make money right away. Nobody realizes, though, unless you're, really, like, I don't want to say an author, but you've already tried publishing, you've already done all that. They don't realize how huge the process is, how much work there is. It's more than just writing. And I mean, of course, different genres of books, it's going to be different. So I write sci-fi fantasy mainly. So I have beta readers and ARC readers and stuff like that compared to, I'm not sure if you've used beta readers with your books. It sounds like you've kind of worked with your partner on some stuff.
Yeah.
But different genres require so much more, which, you probably had to do research and whatnot compared to what other genres would, which I can only imagine the amount of time and effort you've put into your books. They sound amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know You Are Not Alone is, it's getting more traction as we speak, so to speak. I guess, if that makes sense. But
it does.
Yeah, it's getting more and more traction. I actually had one group of it was actually a nursing program that I did a bit of a workshop with them, and they ended up, there was 22 people. It was part of their faculty for this nursing program, and the management bought a copy of You Are Not Alone for everyone. So
wow.
I think, 22 books, that's probably been my biggest client as far as purchasing of books and that.
Definitely.
Because most of the time because I remember I think it was the gift of mentoring, I was asked to speak at a conference in Victoria, British Columbia, and I took 12 or 15 books with me and gave them all away. I didn't set up a booth and charge for the books and stuff like that. I was giving my speech, and I said at the end of my speech that, I've only got 12 or 15 books. And so I'm going to, at the end, I'm going to head up into the lobby area and first come, first serve.
Definitely.
And they were there waiting for me. So, but there was it wasn't a source of revenue if that's what people were looking for. And I've come to realize that if one person gets my book, no matter how they get it, that's one more person that gets to hear the message.
Yeah, I agree. And that's important. It's not all about, making money. Sure, we all want to make money, but I think honestly, it's about getting your story out there, no matter what type it is. I mean, there's stuff that everyone needs to, whether it's, a self-help type of book or an escape into, a romance or sci-fi or fantasy or whatever genre you pick. Somebody needing a little thrill in their life, reading a thriller or mystery, we all have something that we need. And I think, finding that in, for the authors enjoying writing their genres, it helps everybody out. And I think sharing the stories is so important compared to just writing and expecting to become a bestseller.
Yeah. It doesn't happen that way at all. And I think, that we as authors or prospective, people that are listening to your show today that are, thinking, oh, that sounds really glamorous. But it's, I guess glamour is as you define it. But for me, it's all about the message. It's telling the story to get the message out there, and, to be able to knock down those walls where, to battle the stigmatism of, that it's not okay to talk about, mental health, and it's not okay to do this, and it's not okay to do that. I would beg to differ that the more times that we can talk about it, and using the book is definitely one way, having a conversation with you. Just think of how many people we have reached out and touched today with the message.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just, and I've always said that if I have even just one person that says, I listened to, your conversation and it's made a difference, because that was me that I heard in that story. And, it's made a difference.
And there's so many people that can relate to it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that everyone checks out your books. They sound great. They definitely sound like something that could touch a lot of people and help a lot of people.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome, of course. I was going to say, too, on the day that this podcast airs, we will be featuring your book on the Book of the Day section on our website and across our social media platforms as well, to help get your book out there more and connect readers with your book. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Of course. I do have to get ready to wrap up, though. Unless there's anything else you want to share, we will also be providing links to your book so people can purchase it. So,
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everyone, don't forget to check out Doug Lawrence's books, and we will provide links in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And Doug, it has been so wonderful having you with us today.
Well, thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much. And that's a wrap on another episode of Magnificent Authors Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to share another inspiring conversation with a talented author. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Magnificent Authors Podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming conversations with amazing writers. And be sure to check out Magnificent Mamas on our website, which is www.magnificentmamas.us, or on our Facebook page for more inspiring content from incredible authors. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. What resonated with you the most? Head over to Facebook or leave a comment on our website and let me know. Until next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep those imaginations soaring.